Today I'm doing a hardware review on the Classiq 3, and this is a new budget clone from Old Skool. I've done a video on their previous two models, and what it does is it plays NES, Super Nintendo, and Sega Genesis carts, and a whole lot more. I'm going to do an unboxing and go through and show you what it can and can't do. So sit back, relax, here we go. Here is the box. It's pretty decent in size, about the size of a Genesis 2 core model, and it claims it can do quite a bit. So aspect ratio 4:3:16:9, PAL versus NTSC, region switches, as well as like a light switch. So HD and AV options as well, so you can play light guns with this, which is awesome. The other thing I like about this bundle is it comes with everything: AV cables, HDMI cable, power brick, and micro USB cable. Kind of wish it was a USB-C cable, to be honest. I don't like how the micro USB cable connects into the back of the unit. It's all right. Not the best plastic on this budget console release, but it's functional. There's a switch in the front depending on which controller port you use, and pay attention to that so you can get the proper control for your games. As I mentioned before, lots of region switches, PAL versus NTSC aspect ratio, and I love that it does have AV inputs, so you can hook this up to a CRT and play Old Skool for fans that want to play that way. And so it does have a light that goes around the console. I think that's unnecessary. I'm probably never going to use it. Here's a controller. I'm not a big fan of Old Skool's controllers that come bundled with their consoles, and this one just is average. I've played it with several games. It's functional. There's a little switch on the back, and depending on what platform you're playing on, you have to switch it back and forth. But not a big fan of this controller. Definitely use your own when you can. Here's the lighting that goes around the console. I don't know why they decided to do that. It was unnecessary, but there it is. And as putting cartridges into the cartridge slots, I found that my Sega Genesis port was the tightest. The Nintendo was the loosest. It is easy to take your own controllers and plug them into the proper inputs, and I found no problems. Wasn't too tight, wasn't too loose, so I want to show that. It's also compatible with controllers such as ones from 8-Bit Do for the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Those are two controllers I had, and had no problems hooking them up and playing games. So let's jump into the games. Here are the things I'm going to test this unit with for the Sega Genesis slot. I'm a big fan of using the 6-pack to test the sound, especially using clones. Here's Golden Axe. Here's Streets of Rage. And the sound's pretty close. I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but close enough. It's not like completely off. And the big one that a lot of people use is Sonic. Another one I like to use to test is Super Street Fighter 2, and it's one of the larger original releases for the Sega Genesis, and it played it no problems. Using the packaged controllers. The controllers, again, are not my favorite. You definitely want to use your own if you have them. Here it is playing a reproduction of Mega Man The Wily Wars, and overall it was playing it alright. There was a couple graphic glitches I noticed playing a few carts. I don't know if I need to re-clean my carts, but make sure that you clean your carts thoroughly before inserting it into this console. But it was playing fine. And it plays Mega Drive games, no problem. It does have kind of a soft look on the screen. You know, I'm used to playing on my analog SG, and so if you're used to playing through emulation or on an FPGA, you're going to notice that. I have an older EverDrive cart, but it is working fine with that. Nice to see that. Here's Altered Beast. And going back to the controller is just lightweight. It feels cheap. The buttons are squishy. You know, overall, if you don't have anything else, it's nice that it comes with 2 controllers, but there are some competing retro clone consoles out on the market already. The Retron 3 comes to mind, and I actually think the Retron 3 comes with better controllers. I know there's a lot of people that are into homebrews. Here's a new one, Diamond Thieves from Mega Cat Studios. Plays great. It's nice to see that this clone console does support homebrew games. As you know, there's many awesome aftermarket games coming out. As you probably already know, I cover many homebrew and aftermarket game releases on my channel and look forward to sharing many more with you. Using an adapter I got from Stone Age Gamer, you know what? It plays Master System games. At least it was playing this one and plays it all right. There was a couple graphic glitches I noticed. Again, this cartridge is pretty clean, and this is a clone console, so that is going to occasionally happen, but completely playable, and it was really nice to see this feature and something that they don't typically advertise, and it might be a game-to-game basis. One of the largest Sega Genesis carts ever made, Paprium, is an aftermarket brawler, and even though it does start out each stage with some slowdown, it goes away and is completely playable after a little bit. Now, they do recommend playing Paprium cartridges on original hardware, but here it is. It does run. I didn't think Virtua Racing would work, but I had to try it. Only one clone that I know of plays it, and as you can tell, it's not working correctly. Wah wah. Here's what I'm testing for the Super Nintendo, and as you can see here, a wide variety of items, and one that typically isn't discussed enough. I test Star Fox. Sometimes this can give clone consoles issues with that FX chip, but anyways, it's running great. It's running pretty good, and I'm not the best Star Fox player, but just wanted to show it to you, as I know that many classic gamers out there grew up with this, and this is still fun to play and relatively cheap for a Nintendo cartridge, and a lot of fun here. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't played it recently. Also, Super Game Boy, an awesome feature where you can play Game Boy cartridges on a Super Nintendo, and many clone consoles actually are compatible with this, and it is shown here using Space Invaders, which has some additional things included on the Super Game Boy, including the arcade ROM. Awesome to see that. It plays Super Famicom cartridges, no problem, and I'm playing Super Tetris 2. But yeah, it sounds great, it looks great. For a budget option, you know, I think that $90 price point is pretty good, and this might be an option. The other option would be a Retron 3, which is comparable. It does play games off a Super Nintendo standard EverDrive cart. This is Classic Kong, which is kind of like a Mario All-Stars style remake of Donkey Kong, and many out there may not know this even exists. So this is a great way of playing it on an EverDrive cart, but it's cool to see that the clone console can play it. Here's Sydney Hunter Caverns of Death. This is from CollectorVision and still available on sale, by the way. But yeah, that Super Game Boy feature is typically not discussed, and really nice that this clone console can play aftermarket, import, and Game Boy carts, no problem. On to testing NES games, and I was really happy with the results overall. I think for a budget console, this is not a bad option. It does play Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, which is known to give clone consoles, previous clone consoles, issues. There was some graphic glitches, but it was playable, and I kind of expected that. This cartridge typically does give clone consoles problems, and you know, but overall completely playable, and it was nice to see that it was at least running. Now, multi-carts, no problem. Here I'm playing Mappy on a 31-in-1 cartridge that I've had in my collection a long time. I don't know exactly where I got this. Another game that was recommended to me was the NES version of Karateka, and plays great. I actually enjoy this version. Need to play it more. And so it really was nice to see that it plays those. It also plays hacks. This is a pretty intricate one, Zelda: The Legend of Link, and I was happy to have this in my collection for a long time, as this is a pretty extensive hack and a wonderful one. If you haven't played it, you can download the ROM and check it out for yourself. Classiq Gamer's Second Adventure, a homebrew that's near and dear to my heart, a game done by MT, and this one plays great. I think the sound is a little bit off and noticeable in this game. I do think of all the sound of these clone consoles for the Super Nintendo, Genesis, and the NES, I think the NES sound is the most off, but not too bad. And definitely, you know, I think it's not like screeching on your ears. The EverDrive N8 cartridge, unfortunately, is not playable. It's the most recent EverDrive cart, and it's not compatible with this clone. So, overall, what do I think of the Classiq 3? Not bad. Has some shortcomings. I don't like the controllers very much, but you can use your own, and it's compatible with many things. Just a few incompatibilities, and I do wish the picture did look a little bit more sharp. But overall, for a budget release, you can't go wrong with it. The link is below if you decide to go with this route and purchase it for yourself. So thank you so much for coming to my channel. I do many different types of videos, everything from Atari to Xbox. If you like what you see, consider hitting that like and subscribe button and clicking the bell, as I'm uploading content every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. This is the Immortal John Hancock, and you take care.